Hi, I'm Jacquire King. Welcome to my studio. I'd like to invite you in and show you around. So, welcome. As you can see, when we come into the studio, the first part of this environment is a bit purposely like home. I wanted it to feel cool and comfortable. This is not my home where I live, but it's my studio house. And I just wanted to have a nice environment where there's natural light. It's a big kitchen and place to hang out, and just the ability for people to feel at home and to feel because we're in a small house, we're in very close proximity to where the studio space is, which I'll show you in a minute. But it's just really super important to me to have a place where people can gather and feel comfortable, and there's natural light, and it just has a good feeling and a vibe to me. It's a super comfortable environment for me, and it seems to be pretty pleasing to others too. So let's take a look at the control room first. So in here we have the control room. It's a pretty modest sized room. It's not much bigger than a bedroom really. It's about 14 by 15. And this is where I do the engineering work and the listening and the mixing. Have multiple sets of speakers, things right in front of me. Workstation control is right here. There's a little bit of space that's easily accessible as you come in. This is where we set up someone to play keyboards or guitar or bass or whatever, just so there's space for a musician to be in the room with me. And then we have some of the outboard gear that I kind of need to immediately be in touch with while we're working on the process. Be able to do some automation with this, and monitors here in front. And then the way that I laid the room out, because it's a small space, I was very purposeful in the way that I laid it out. The Pro Tools rig and the patch bay are over here, which it's sort of the most out of the way corner in terms of the workflow, and this stuff is probably what needs to be dealt with and touched the least. And then we kind of organize the gear. These are mostly mic pre's and EQs, my console, and then there's a lot of compression and some more mic pre's over here. Everything is interconnected to the patch bay, mic lines that go out to the other part of the house. There's another small speaker over here that's in mono that I just use as a reference. That's not in front of me. It's just kind of off to the side in the room. I have a tall set of Amphion towers, and these pedestals are the subwoofers, so they're in stereo. Great speakers to fill the room and get a nice hi-fi sound with. I really love them. They're great sounding speakers. I have a pair of Proax. There's a sub attached to those, and then some small KRKs. I love all these speakers. They sound a little bit different, but they give me a great perspective of how things are translating across the listening and mixing environment. A few things that I think are really pretty special pieces of gear that I have. I think that the most special thing that I have is this Quad 8 console. This was a very large console. It was 40 channels. It was almost 10 feet wide originally that I had. It was like a 2 to 3 year project to turn it into a couple sidecars. So what we have here now is 16 channels with 32 inputs to mix. We use this a lot for recording. If we're bussing guitars together, we put them on put several microphones on channels, and we can bust them down together. Drums sounds great on everything. It's a really pretty unique piece, especially in this this format. Get a lot of use out of it, and I quite often when I'm mixing, I will use this for my summing. I just put all the faders up at 0. And do all of the automation and balancing in the computer, but it's a really nice sound to do the analog summing. Another few pieces that I really love. I mean, tons of great compressors. I mean, I don't really have anything in here that I don't love. This Blue Stripe 1176 is pretty special. There's not a lot of those around anymore. And so that's pretty special. I use the retros quite a bit for acoustic. This one gets vocal and acoustic guitar a lot. The stay level is great on vocal and bass. It just really depends on what we're recording. But a lot of fantastic pieces. I mean, this Compex is amazing on drums and room sounds. But we have a nice selection. There's APIs. There's some more modern Rupert Neves. There's some SSL EQs and dynamics over here. This is a 1099, which is the same thing as a 1073. My friend Eric Valentine's Undertone Audio. I have a set of his pre's, which are really fantastic. And then in the desk, these Neve 1081s get used quite a lot. As you can see, they're labeled kick and snare. Use them on vocals, guitars, all kinds of stuff. They have very flexible and great EQs, very musical. Pair of distressors here. And then there are these Sontec parametric equalizers. And they are sort of the predecessors to the George Massenburg EQ. George helped design these. These units are sort of the birth of parametric equalization. They're very surgical and cool sounding. That's why I have them right in front of me, because if I'm doing some very particular EQ work in the analog realm, I can hear that there. My stereo, this Dramastic Obsidian compressor, SSL style compressor, it's in front of me because this is what I put on my mix bus a lot of times when I'm using the console for summing. My stereo converter, my monitor output for my speakers. That's also where my talkback is. So a lot of the things that I need to be in touch with often are right in front of me. And then we have some more compression. And I have this, I love this Universal Audio 2610, and I have it here because a lot of times when we're recording keyboards or direct instruments over here, it's just very easy to get a signal into them and plug them in right there. So because it's kind of a tight space, I just made sure that it was laid out in a way that was really comfortable. We have a couple guitars in the back of the room for people to be able to grab and play, and it's just easy access. Everybody can kind of come in and go to their spot, and we're not tripping over each other too much. It functions really, really well. Let's go have a look at the recording space. So when I originally bought the house, this was set up as a master bedroom. And I built walls inside of walls here. On the exterior of the house, there's still a window there that's behind the wall. And then there's also a window here. But we built walls inside of walls. There's a lot of insulation and mass-loaded vinyl in between the new wall structure and the drywall, and then there's all this great prime acoustic sound treatment that makes the room sound very controlled and tight. It's not dead, but it's not over lively. It just has a very nice balance. And so, you know, a point I want to make is that this is not like a big studio. It's a comfortable studio. It's functional. Sometimes it gets a little tight, and there are limits to the amount of people we can have recording at once. But you can, you know, with a space that's set up the right way, it doesn't really need to be big to get a great sound. Where we sort of lack a little bit of an ambient picture in here, oftentimes what we do is we will leave the entrance door to the studio open a little bit, and we'll put a mic out in the hallway, and we can mix that in separately with things. We also, like the little piano or vocals, we also just pull mics out into that space and do some ambient recording. It's one of the reasons why I put a mic panel right here next to the door, so that it's easy to do that. But then there's a mic panel on each wall so that you can set up microphones in any part of the room. And like I said, this was originally a bigger bedroom. So keeping that in mind, I utilized some of the auxiliary space to the master bedroom. This was a walk-in closet. And so what I did is I turned it into a little amp isolation space, and it is wired for headphones, instrument lines, and microphone cables right here. So I can have, if I wanted to, I can have the head for an amp out on the floor in the bigger room with a musician and run the speaker cable through the wall and bring it in here, put a cabinet in here, put some microphones on it, and then shut the door. And it doesn't make the sound completely go away, but it's isolated enough. And these double walls, you can see, these double walls are this thick. And there's a lot of heavy-duty sound treatment. These are custom-made doors with acoustic barriers that when they shut, they drop down, so it kind of locks things off. I'm going to stand here and just talk, and you can hear the space out there, but when I close this door, it gets very quiet and isolated in here. And because the control room's across the hallway, when you shut the door to the control room, it can be very loud in here, and you can really listen at a low level to your speakers in there and kind of understand what you're doing. The last little bit I will show you is what was the bathroom. This was a full-size bathroom, has now been turned into a vocal booth. And we're able to record, obviously we record vocals in here a lot, but if you're recording drums and acoustic guitar at the same time, or just need an isolation space, you can set it up in here and get a lot of stuff done. I mean, you can have a vocalist in here playing acoustic guitar, drummer set up out there, bass player going direct, an electric guitar player with their amp in this isolation booth, and you've got a 4-piece band easily set up to record. We have headphone system that we can set up 5 different headphone setups out here and really make this place work. The room is great. The drums right now are in a spot where they're a little tighter and drier. We use these gobos to sort of help isolate. But you'll see in the course, when we're doing drums that are a bit bigger and more rock, the drum kit is placed right here in the middle of the room. This location of the drums is where you'll see another segment, not the live action, but you'll see the finished recording result. For a song called Sometimes a Heartbreak, the drums were recorded there with the baffles in place. And you'll once you've gone through the whole course and seen how we record the drums here and what that sounds like there, you get a sense of what we can do with this space. So welcome to my home studio, welcome to the course, and I look forward to sharing a lot of stuff with you.